Hi, this is Craig from GMC4x4.com, the site for Chevy and GMC truck enthusiasts. What we're going to do today as part of our maintenance video series is I'm going to show you guys how to drain and replace the fluid in your front differential. The donor truck for today is a 1999 Chevy Tahoe, so its running gear up front is the half-ton IFS system. You guys running 3/4 ton and 1 ton systems have a slightly different setup, but the procedures are certainly the same. And this is, of course, across Dodge, Chevy, Jeep. The concept of this is the same for how to replace your fluid. So to start off, what we're going to be using in the front differential of this truck is the Lucas synthetic 7590 gear oil. This is a good mid-level gear oil. If you'd like to get some of the premium stuff, AMSOIL makes an incredible synthetic fluid, followed by Redline. I personally, for the Chevy Tahoe and a number of the other Chevy trucks, you really don't need Royal Purple because it has friction modifiers in most of their fluids, so stay away from friction modifiers, except for in cases where it's actually needed, which is in certain limited slip differentials. So you can see I've got 2 of the containers. These are the larger gear oils from Lucas. This is 32 ounces. We're going to need just a little bit more than 1 container for this particular job, so just make sure with your differential you get a good idea on what your fluid capacity is. Also, a torque wrench. You want to make sure that you're going to take your drain plug and fill plug out and put it back into specifications. For the half-ton running gear, it's a 15 millimeter bolt and a 13 millimeter bolt, so you're going to need 2 different size sockets. Also gloves, a fluid transfer pump, and just make sure you have the right size. This is for the smaller containers. There's also a larger transfer pump for the gallon. With that size you only need the smaller one, and then of course a drain pan. I personally prefer this setup because it seals on side, so you can transport it to have the fluid recycled accordingly. So this is all you need to do this job. This is a half-hour job or less, pretty easy, and considering the benefit of changing your fluid, this is definitely on the must-have of most people's lists. I personally, this truck wheels a lot, so I change it every 30,000 miles, and it keeps the fluid nice and clean in there. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to start prepping the truck, which is really just loosening that drain plug and getting the pan underneath it. So stay tuned. So now that we're under the truck, one of the most common questions that I see is which is your fill plug and which is your drain plug. So on the half-ton IFS, this is actually the driver side of the front differential. This is your drain plug, which is 13 millimeters. This is your fill plug. Again, the concept is the same across makes and models. The drain plug is always at the lower end of the casing. The fill plug is always at the higher end. So where I think I see most confusion is the way this casing is made up. There's 2 halves. One half is, of course, this side. The other half is on the other side where the camera can't see. But there's a number of bolts that look just like this. The easy way to find which one is your drain bolt and which one's your fill bolt is, do you see how this kind of shaft goes through here and ends before these 2 halves are sandwiched together? This bolt has no purpose when it comes to the structural integrity of holding these 2 plates together. So that's how you know this is this is your drain plug. And same with this plug. Like you can see, it just terminates back here in the case. There's no way this bolt is 7 inches or 8 inches long, so you can tell it's not actually holding the 2 halves of the case together. So that's how you can tell that's the fill plug. So what I'm going to do off camera is we're going to take this drain pan, situate it underneath. We're going to put the wrench on this, loosen it up, and essentially once this comes out, the fluid is going to flow out. So I'm going to do all that off camera, and so stay tuned. Alright, so I'm going to give it a few minutes and allow the front axle to actually start draining itself. But this is the drain plug. My recommendation is when you get this thing out, clean it. Make sure there's no gunk in the threads. This truck is serviced quite often, so you can see, this bolt is in great shape, can be reused. The heads aren't rounded off. If you find that you rounded off the heads on this, get a new one. The last thing you want is to have to struggle with this one day and you've damaged the bolt. But I've always used a 6-sided socket, so you can see the points on it are in perfect shape. The threads are nice and clean, so this is in good shape. So we're just going to put this to the side. I personally like fluid transfer pumps. I think it's a pain in the butt to try to just pour this in on this tip. This fluid transfer pump, as you can see, has been used with other fluids. So what I recommend is to drain it as much as you can, which is just by gravity letting it come out. You can even help it by pumping it, but a lot of this fluid is just not going to leave here, and you really don't want to mix and match your fluids. So what I recommend is that front differential is not going to take a full 2 of these containers. So connect this to your first container and then run some of this in there until the only thing you see in your fluid pump is this color fluid. So you're not going to use the full 2 containers. So flush this pump out before you use it on your front differential. And that goes for all of your components. Never mix and match fluids. Alright, so I'm going to allow that to drain for a few more minutes, and then what I'm going to do is a next step, I'm going to show you guys the proper way to reinstall this, and then of course the proper way how to take out your fill plug. So stay tuned. Alright, so as you can see, it's now gone to just a small drip coming out of that hole. The good thing is when I saw the fluid, it still had a decent bit of kind of that caramel look to it, so the fluid's in good shape. I highly recommend you clean off the surface of this hole before you put in the new bolt. And as you can see, or as you saw before, this bolt has already been cleaned off. And when you reinstall it, always reinstall a bolt, and this is just good practice, but always start it with your hands, that way you can feel the threads. This will save you countless hours of pain from accidentally cross-threading a bolt, especially into an expensive component like your front drive shaft, or I should say your front axle. But you should be able to do this all the way just by using your hands, and then I'm going to tighten it down with a torque wrench. So we're already at the stage of tightening this down with the torque wrench, and then we're going to start filling this next. So again, that's our fill plug right there. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to clean out that transfer pump. Of course, we're going to transfer that old fluid in the pump down into this catch can. So I'm going to do all that off camera, and we'll take it from there. So as you can see, I've prepped this bottle of Lucas oil with our pump. I've cleaned out the pump, so there's no longer any of that debris. As you can see, it's that nice caramel color, which is the color of the synthetic fluid. And this is that hole where that 15mm fill bolt came from. And all you have to do is insert this line in there. It's best to hold it with 2 hands, so I'm just going to show you where it goes in. And then what you're going to do once it's in there is you're going to pump this until this is full. What's nice about this design is there's no way to overfill it. So you'll know it's full once you start seeing the fluid coming out of these bottom threads. So stay tuned. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to fill up this front differential with fluid. Alright, so as you can see, that fluid coming out, that means it's full. So I put a little bit too much in, which is okay. That happens with this type of system. But once that finishes draining out, all the fluid essentially will be level with that top hole, and then I'll be good to go with putting, oh, you guys can't see that, our new, well, not our new, but put the fill plug back in. Again, when you put it in, hand tight to start off, no tools, and then when you finally torque it down, use a torque wrench, and check your owner's manual so you understand the foot-pound involved. So that takes us to the end of our video for how to clean out the old front differential fluid and put new stuff in. So I hope you like the video. If you've got any questions, comments, please feel free to visit www.gmc4x4.com. We've got a whole maintenance video series that covers essentially anything that's got fluid in it. Your front differential, rear differential, transfer case, and eventually we'll have a transmission one in there too. So hope you guys learned a lot. Hope you enjoyed the video. Again, any questions, just check us out at www.gmc4x4.com. Look forward to seeing you guys, and safe riding on the trails.